who's, I'm sorry, Nancy is, who's Nancy?
She's the account manager here.
Okay, right. Oh, okay, yeah, that's, okay, she was on last, yeah. Thank you, sorry, Nancy. I thought you might have been another Nancy. Okay, so now it looks like no members of the public. We do have television, and we are good to go. So Denise, please roll call.
All right. Director Coverdale.
Yes, I'm here.
Vice President Reynolds.
Yes, I'm here.
Director Feldman.
Here.
Director Mueller.
Here.
President Michelson.
Here, thank you very much. And I see you are waving the flag, so we do have a, oh, we got multiple flags. Okay, guys, we can, okay, now make sure you guys have your pants on when you stand up.
Ooh.
Okay, who's gonna lead? Ken, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
and justice
with
for
liberty
all.
and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay, thank you all very much, but just in case public chimed in the meantime, do we have any public comment? And I'm going to guess.
Chris, you got to move your camera. It's
Yeah,
now
yeah,
showing.
yeah.
Yes, thank
There
you.
you go.
Alvin,
You were. We can't have our leader a flower pot.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to be a regular director. Then I can just turn the picture off and lay in bed and do these
Yeah,
meetings.
you can lay in bed again.
It won't be long. It won't be long.
You probably can't wait either.
So, special order of business. Oh God, John, we spent $100,000 getting you this safe seat, so I get to swear you in now. And then the others, Glenn.
Yep.
You guys get.
And Ken, don't forget Ken.
So, protocol here. Should we go straight to oath, or Patrick, do you have anything to say?
No, you can go right to administering the oath of office, and I believe President Michelson, you will be administering the oath
Yeah.
to our 3 directors.
Okay, and you guys have the oath in front of you, but I will read it, and I'll only read a few words at a time, so no one gets tongue-tied here. So, oath of office for the member of Board of Directors, Coastside County Water District. I state your name, do solemnly swear.
I, Kenneth Lee Coverdale, do solemnly swear
I, John Mueller, do solemnly swear
I, Glenn Reynolds, do solemnly swear
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I will defend and support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
and the Constitution of the United States against all foreign enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
I will bear true faith to the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the
State of California.
That I take this obligation freely, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any
without-
mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
I take this freely without any reservation.
And that I will well faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Amen.
Oh, man, on this date,
Amen.
let the record show on this date, December 8th, 2020, the 3 new board members, 1 new, 2 returning, are now officially sworn before me. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. I
Kiddo?
got a really nice letter from the Speaker of the Assembly of the State of California, Mr. Mullins, and I would very much like us to draft a letter. I know I can't do this, Patrick, so, and ask him. He said he would be willing to help us in any way he could. For him to tell us how we could possibly help people on fixed income that are underprivileged get fresh water without worrying about the fact that we would be giving away somehow something that is held by our constituents. So that's what I would like to do, is draft that letter to the Speaker of the Assembly of the State of California and ask him, how do we give people fresh, safe water without them having to worry about the cost? I would love to.
I'll support that idea. I think that's a great idea.
And the speaker's name?
I'm presuming right now that this is taken a little bit out of order, that this is a director comment under item 6. And I would recommend that there be no action taken on this tonight because it's not on the agenda. And if the board supports this, it would be put on the agenda for a future meeting.
Yeah, thank you, because I actually have something to laminate on top of that for director comments. So thank you. So Director Coverdale, AKA Ken, how'd the claims look?
I want to tell you that the reporting in the Coastside County Water District is so transparent and so wonderfully prepared. And there's plenty of time for anybody who reviews it to understand how real and honest we operate with the public finances. So I would tell you that it looks great to me.
Thank you. So before us, we have the consent calendar. Any questions, or can we vote on it as a whole? Can I hear a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent calendar as
And
presented.
a second, please.
I will second it, John
I'll second
Mullin,
it.
for action of duty.
Okay, thank you very much. And so roll call, please, Denise.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Muller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michelson.
Aye, thank you. So now we have a opportunity for director comments, meetings attended. Any comments? Ken, what was the name of the speaker? I don't know who the current speaker is. Sorry.
Speaker
Mullins.
Mullins, I don't remember his
Oh, he's
first
Speaker
name.
Pro Tem.
Yeah.
He's not the speaker.
Oh, okay. He wrote me a really nice letter saying congratulations and if there was any way that he could help. And so I think that one thing that we don't always take advantage of is an offer from an elected person to help. But we've been battling with this for a long time. We can't give away public resources. I agree with that. But it'd be really nice to figure out a way how, especially during COVID-19, who's underfinanced, doesn't have resources. How can we help them get fresh water? Why do we have to charge a person that's on their last breath for water? And, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but, I just feel bad about that. Water should be a right. It shouldn't be some kind of a privilege. It's not a driving privilege like a driver's license. It's the right to life. It's like air. Serve fresh air and fresh water. Some people can't afford it. I don't think it's always their fault. So if we could get someone enlisted to help us in the state assembly or in the House, or in the Senate of the state of California or the governor's office, we should work toward that. And I think it's something that we could do that would really show that to our customers that we care about the people in our community. So, I don't want to grandstand. It's just, I've been thinking about it today and what can we do really positive for people that are having a hardship right now. And a lot of people are having a hardship and it's a drought. So it isn't like we have an abundance of water. it's not a good water year, but you know, for the rates to go up and those people to be more challenged to have fresh water, I just have a real problem with that. And I'd love to see us do something positive. So anyway, I'm going to mute myself.
So I would actually take up with any of our elected officials, their lack of support for the negotiated on the Tuolumne River. They are now backing off in the negotiated agreement. So things at Bosca aren't looking so good. At one time, we did have even the governor on our side, and now he is backing off, and now SFPUC is backing off. And so we may, like you did point out, how precious may water become in the very near future, especially if it doesn't rain this year. We may actually lose a large part of our allocation from the Tuolumne if we don't get back on board with the negotiated settlement. So our water from the Tuolumne is really, really at risk here. So if the elected officials really cared about delivering water at a fair price, they would get on board and support the negotiated settlement on the Tuolumne. So that's probably a bigger role that they could play in helping keep the price down. So I would take them up on that support for the negotiated settlement, because Dreckmeyer right now is winning, and we're really at coming very close to losing our take on the 12. So that's how I would approach our elected officials. And Bob, I see you were raising your hand.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to spend a day and a half virtually with Aqua Conference again. It's the fall conference. Mary probably participated in that as well. And I took away a few things from it that I'll just mention. I'm going to have to get a great deal of detail. It's not easy to do those virtually, but you do your best, and they try to make them somewhat interactive, but it's really very hard. The key things I think that make sense to you are one about COVID, the COVID status from a COVID chat room that they had. They asked questions and got responses from the participants. It seems as if, as in our area, health is the #1 concern of most agencies, keeping their employees safe and healthy, and that was our #1 as well. And two, that most our agencies still have their offices closed. Okay, some 60% are still not operating fully, and so it's still a big issue around the state, and it's still not easy. It's still tricky, and they are suggesting, I don't know, James, if you do this, virtual staff meetings. I don't know if you guys do this now or not, but that was one of the things was suggested, that you guys get everybody on Zoom or something and see how things are going. So Mary's shaking her head. I guess you do that. So I just mentioning that was one of the things that I took away as an option for me. Awards. The most important award that was presented on day 2 in the morning at the general session, or one of 2 awards, was the outreach award for outreach to our elected officials, interestingly enough, to our people in California. So I thought it was very germane that you guys are talking about it. And we were among 10 noted as being the selected people in the state. Out of 470 agencies, we were agency #1 in Region 5. And so I just sent a note to Mary previously, wanted to congratulate her again, because it isn't shabby to be #1 out of 47 in our particular area, or #1 of 10 in the whole state. So I thought that she's doing something right. They are getting to the legislators in some manner and are responding to things that are being asked about. And I think that, you know, we're doing what we can do, and we've made a real impact on doing that. So congratulations again to you and all the folks that help you make this happen. I thought that was really the high spot of the conference for me. Speaking of poor folks who can't afford things, SB 200 is in process. That's the Newsom deal that gives $1.4 billion to safe and affordable drinking water to the communities in the state who can't afford to do it themselves. And so far, they've made a start. They've worked with some 30 communities so far. They have another 150 in the list. And over time, they hope to be able to attack that problem and provide water to people who really don't have the wherewithal to afford it. It may not be quite in line with what Ken has suggested, but there is this major effort going on, and it's a 10-year program. And so hopefully over time, they will make some impact on the people who in fact can't really deal with the problem of being able to get water and pay for it. And so I think that's a positive thing that I learned out of the conferences. They're making some progress in doing that. And finally, there was a discussion or a presentation by a climate person at USC, which I thought was probably the most interesting one I've heard in a long time. He talked about global warming, unusual water patterns, short rain periods at the wrong time, and the fact that we have a worrying trend: decreasing snow accumulation, increasing fire threats, more floods, and what he calls variability whiplash, which is an interesting way of saying that things are happening in sort of the same time frames they're supposed to, but in much shorter bursts. So that now you get rain all of a sudden, big storms, and then you get nothing, where you used to get it in a nice, quiet, and progressive way through the winter. It's not happening anymore. And he's quite concerned because he thinks that, coupled with evaporation, the lowering snow accumulation, etc., will mean that by 2030, we're going to be in big trouble. And I thought his presentation was very lucid, and it made me really think that in the longer term, we're in an interesting time, and that we may see a lot more downside than we would hope to going forward. And we've seen a lot of examples of that up to this point with the red flag warnings, the fires, the massive rainstorms, the flooding, et cetera, And his view is that this is only the start of a long cycle, and that every 200 years, we have a really major issue. And he thinks that's due in about 2060 at this point. So I just wanted to present that as a takeaway from the conference that I thought might be of interest, at least in our planning going forward and the things that we may be looking to face in the future. Thank you. That was what I did. I know Mary was there, so she probably had some takeaways too. All right.
Thank you. And anyone else? John?
If I may, I have just some quick housekeeping things. I would suggest that we have an updated contact list for board members and staff, if we will, please. And that would be one thing. And my other thoughts were the way security is going in this country of ours. Do we have an ID system, an ID self-identification badge for Coastside County Water? I wasn't sure if we had one of those for staff and board members. It's a suggestion I'd like to put forward. And then also I'll make it brief. I think it would be to our advantage to send a nice little note to the acting general manager of SFPUC, Michael Carlin, and Steve Ritchie. They're very good friends of ours, and I think we should stay in touch with them and be available if we could be of any assistance to them in their management of the future, because they got their hands full with that. But I know it's politics, but you know, I do have a 50-year history of a little bit of political life, and so I would recommend the board have staff draft a little note for the holidays to the acting general manager and also to Steve Ritchie. That was a couple of my suggestions. And then I think as the comments were made about the potential for drought in 2021, I mean, we are in agriculture, we're scared to death right now throughout the West, but in Half Moon Bay also. So I think we have to be prepared for the unexpected situations that would impact. And I think we have to be concerned, as it was brought up by Board Member Coverdell, that, the county and city are moving forward with purchasing that nice hotel here on Highway 1. How about the water rates that are going to come out of there and the water use? Who will be funding that? That would be something that we have to consider in the future. But I do think if you're going to contact political people, I got a wonderful note from Assembly Member Mullins too, but we have a new state senator taking Jerry Hill's place. But I think you ought to really bring it to the Representative Jackie Spears' office too, and Brian Beard, and let's see what they're thinking, if there's some federal funding for coastside assistance, since we're getting a new hotel on the coast. So if you don't mind, those are a few of my little quick comments here for my first meeting since many years ago. Thank
you. Thank you. And anyone else? Otherwise, we could move on to the next order of business, which would be the election of board president and vice president. I could open this up to nominations. I know.
I move we appoint Glenn Reynolds as president.
Did you want to just do president separately?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I move Glenn Reynolds for president.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a no-brainer. It's been really, really great working with him at the subcommittee level. So I really look forward to passing the baton to somebody who really, really knows the technical side of the water world better than any board member we've ever had.
I will second that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to move that Bob Feldman be vice president.
I would second that also. And then, every time we do this, can we vote for them both at once?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think we have, yeah.
Yeah, so
nomination, second, you could take the action.
Okay, so that's the slate. Well, give me a first and a second, and let's go to vote.
You already have a first and a second. I think
Okay, including the Bob also. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that Bob was included in the first and second. Okay, then we can go to a vote. Denise, please. Oh, Denise, you're going to make the guys suffer.
Sorry about that. Director Coverdale,
I want to think about it. No. Aye.
all right. Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Muller,
Yes on both nominations.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michelson.
Absolutely, great. Thank you very much. So item 7B, rather interesting if people have been following the news today. Did people see that FireEye, the #1 security provider to the US government, was hacked by the Russians?
I missed that one.
Yes, FireEye, which provides internet security to multiple government agencies, was hacked by the Russians today. So I guess they're going after bigger fish. So maybe CCWD isn't necessarily in their crosshairs.
Yeah.
So that said, Mary, please.
Yeah. Okay. So in October of 2020, the grand jury for the county of San Mateo filed a report entitled Ransomware. It's not enough to think you are protected. So, the report dealt with the issue saying city and county government systems are at risk for ransomware attacks. Are adequate measures being taken by local government agencies to mitigate the risks and provide recovery options? So the report includes findings along with recommendations for best practices for county agencies to consider when developing a cybersecurity strategy. And our district, along with 67 other agencies in the county, are required to respond to the grand jury no later than January 5th, 2021. And our response needs to be approved by the board. So we have included a draft response in your board package, and this response was put together with the help of Pat Biaki. So, basically from a findings perspective, we state that we agree with the findings included in the report, with the exception of knowing the % of ransomware attacks, because we can't really verify that. But, and then from a recommendation perspective, we acknowledge that we have made a request to our IT consultants by November 30th to prepare a confidential internal report on our cybersecurity, including system security, backup and recovery, and prevention. And this report will be provided to the board by June 30th. So we ask that the board approve the draft response to send to the grand jury. And, I will just, continue to say that from staff's perspective, we take security, and cybersecurity very seriously. And our IT consultants are very serious. And also in response to Director Mueller, I will hold up my badge.
Thank you.
We don't have them for the board, but we could have them put together for the board as well. But anyway, so, do you have questions?
Questions out there, board members?
I think that it's something we should revisit in the future as sort of our ongoing due diligence for our internet security. But I think this response to the letter we received is a good one, and I would endorse the response that has been prepared by staff.
Yeah, I would agree, and I can tell you historically there was previous boards thumbed their nose at grand jury reports, and I don't ever want to be part of I was in a minority position at the time, and I don't ever want to be part of a board like that. So this has been a very, very proactive response, and thank you all to staff for putting this together. And Glenn, I would agree with your comments too. Thank you.
If I may suggest, then maybe every couple months, just have a brief update on the agenda in case there is an issue. It will show the parties that this district has taken seriously about this. So if you put it aside and don't have it posted often, then they'll think you might have forgot about it. But just my suggestion, every couple, 3 quarter or something, have an update on it.
Move we approve the response as presented.
Yeah, that would be great. And a second, please.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Moved and seconded. No money involved. Do we need a roll call? Yes,
Yes.
always.
Yes.
Okay. Denise, please.
President Michelson,
Yes.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Yes.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Coverdale.
Yes.
Thank you. All good suggestions. Great response, and thank you. Wow, this is really going fast. James. Where's this? We're gonna. Sorry to be so quick here.
You're not kidding. You are
I know,
moving
I know,
fast.
yeah, it's like 7:30.
Looking at all my numbers and taking notes. So sorry for my delay. We all know rainfall's been below average. I'm happy to report that we did start the Denniston water treatment plant at 300 gallons a minute at the end of November. We're gonna do that as long as we can. We got the Pilarcitos wells running at 275. Pilarcitos reservoir is at 450 right now. So Crystal Springs is off. That's helping us out a lot. We'll do that as long as we can and pray for rain. Replace some hydrants. We used all sources last month, but we're on our local sources now. Projects, Denniston generators installed. We had a parts mess up with Cummins. They sent us the wrong cabinets. I spoke very strongly with them about getting those things ready. So they are going to get them ready for startup on the 14th of December. And we're going to swap the cabinets out later. So at least we can use them if we need them in the wintertime. Hopefully we'll get some
If
big.
I may interrupt you, sir, I understand there was an outage last night and the generators were not operating.
Yeah, there was a problem with the cabinets. They haven't been commissioned by Cummins yet, and that's the ATS cabinets.
There's
So
no
we were
support
unable
chain.
to run them. The power went off about 1 or 2 in the afternoon and came back at 10, according to Dave Leah. So a little bit of disappointment being so close to the finish line, not being able to run them, but we're working with Cummins on this.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Emergency pump for the Pilarcitos Dam is in the East Bay, and we can't get to it because of COVID shutdowns. But we've been reassured by the factory that in an emergency, we can come get it. We'd like to go and see them factory test it. They have a little pump around, pump from a tank to a tank. So we'd like to see it tested. If we can't, we'll live with it. So it's available if we need it as of now. We've requested a proposal from Brown and Caldwell for the design of a engineering design of Half Moon Bay Tank 3 replacement, the DN tank. We've also asked HDR for a proposal, and we're evaluating both of those. More on that later through the facilities committee. Ford has finally issued a VIN number for the Selzy valve, the Selzy truck that we're going to build together, or the valve exercising equipment that's going to be put on a Ford, which is the WOX equipment at the Selzy shop. Sorry, I kind of messed that one up. We had a 90% project review meeting, design meeting with HDR today over the Nunes water treatment plant upgrades. It went really good. They've really taken good care of us. We're down to the nitty gritty. We're looking at 100% design in end of December. Staff would like to take a couple of weeks before we produce the bid documents, and we should be out to bid in January and award middle February if everything works out with that. We're really happy with the work. It's an important investment. You all know that Nunes really is the heartbeat of the district when it comes to producing water. So that's a great investment. Staff's really excited about it. EKI, 90% design drawings and documents are produced for the Pilarcitos crossing replacement over by Strawflower, and we're waiting for the biological resources evaluation from WRA before we can start the CDP process. If you have any questions, I'm here at your pleasure. And Director Muller, I want to welcome you back.
Thank you, and I look forward to having some special time with you in the future after holiday season.
Likewise.
Did a brief tour of our facilities,
Anytime.
even though I know where they are.
Right.
Well, good. I'm excited about the Nunes timeline. So this is great. So things are, you're going to really be on board for the big construction projects.
Yes, it's been a lot of work, and it was quite evident today as we reviewed the 90% plans.
Yeah.
It's a significant project. It's really important, and it's going to serve the next generation very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And Bob, I see you.
I had a question for Jim. DN tanks, the item about the pre-stressed replacement tank. Jim, are those DN equipment, those tanks, the standard or a well-known industry standard for tank like that?
Yeah, they're really the top-notch builders or design firm for the pre-stressing. They call it pre-stressing. It's really kind of post-stressing. I'm sure Glenn could comment on it. But they're willing to come in and do the tank A to Z outside of everything connecting to the tank. Or they're willing to come in and just do the pre-stressing. You can hire a contractor, pour all the walls and do all that. I think after staff's, we visited the Treasure Island site where they're building 3 for the PUC. And it's a pretty complex process. I don't know if I'd want another third party contractor in there when you're pumping grout between concrete walls and stuff. I'd like to have one firm, and I think Mary's in agreement, staff's in agreement, have one firm be responsible for the entire tank.
Yeah.
But they are the premier. They are the premier. They work all over the globe.
I asked because at the virtual actor conference, they had a virtual exhibition hall. And one of the exhibitors was DN. And I went through their spiel and it looked pretty impressive. That's why I laughed when I saw the name. Because they're one of the people that I spent some time with looking at the tanks because I knew we were thinking about doing tank replacement. And I thought it was interesting to see that that was, right here in your progress report. So it was more an idle question because I thought they looked pretty impressive and they had a pretty nice virtual exhibit. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, Kathleen, you were with us tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. So my report summarizes the previous water year 2020 hydrological conditions for the watersheds that the district relies on for water supply. So as we all know, water year 2020, which ended on September 30th, was a dry year for all the watersheds that the district relies on. They all received less than average precipitation. And unfortunately, our new current water year 2021 has started out exceptionally dry, as we've discussed in previous staff reports. So that kind of has us on a drought watch. So officially, most of California is in a drought. And in my staff report, I included a graphic from the US Drought Monitor that kind of shows how severe it is across the whole state. So what this does is means we kind of watch very closely month to month. And if it continues to be dry, we're probably looking at voluntary measures this summer, regionally, if not statewide, because it'll be the second year of dry conditions. So that makes us want to plan in case there's a third year. So we want to save as much water in storage as possible, especially for the Hetch Hetchy system or the regional water system. So technically right now we're not in a water shortage. We have plenty of water, but we are definitely watching the weather conditions and the less than average precipitation that's occurred. And on the back second page of my staff report, I just included a summary. I do this every year of the water years and the precipitation we received locally here, just as an update. So if anyone has any questions.
Was there a color code on the second page? There's red, blue, yellow. Is there a color scheme? What does it mean? Some lines are blue. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I tried, the bright red for water year 2014, that was the driest water year on record. So I used a unique color for that. Yeah, so I did try to, categorize the water year by how dry it was and so anything over our average was really considered a wet year. Anything over like 106%. But I can get that for you if you're interested in.
I mean, all the blue ones go way up over the line. Means there will be years. I can see that.
Yeah.
It was just the colors of the others were a little squirrely. It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's not looking too good in the last 3 years. That's what it says.
Yeah, we had one good year, 2018. But yeah, but that's what we worry about is the consecutive dry years.
Okay. Well, it ties in with John's comments and what they said in terms of things not being like they used to be. And so hopefully we'll get more in December, January, and February. That's in March, but remains to be seen. Thanks.
Yes, sure. Yes.
If I may, I do have accurate records from many, many years ago on my secret files here that I've accumulated over the last 50 years. I'd like to share that with the office someday. That goes way back, and we did have monitoring stations in the early 1900s in Half Moon Bay. So that is one thing. And then just a little lighten it up here in the room next door here. Mr. Advento, my father-in-law, was former board member and worked really hard to get the Crystal Springs pipeline. But the best part is he gave us a little history lesson to his great-grandchildren the other evening. The old timers and farm world said that when the moon was half moon, and when they were told as kids, when it's laying down, it'll never rain because it can't cry and leak. Can you imagine what a great trivia question that would be for the kids? And my grandkids, now they look at the moon and they go, Papa, it's not going to rain. How do you know? Because Nono said the moon won't cry. So that's a little trivia for all of us to look at the moon next time, and that'll tell you if it's going to rain or not. And without all the global experts out there, look at the moon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard that one before.
No, haven't heard that one. That's a new one.
Okay. Thank you. And you've been working with SFPUC, giving them our demands, I guess. Kathleen?
Yes. Those demands, yes. They requested those back in July, I think, for their planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. That's and it's for others. It's relative to the Bay Delta plan, so we can kind of look at future availability of water. So they're contacted the member agencies to ask for demand requests, so they could kind of do the math, because it's looking like the water bank may very well be at risk, and that's something that has gotten us through prior droughts. And that in the future, that water bank may not be available to us right now. That may very well be at risk, and that's what gave us, multi-year resiliency. And things are changing rather rapidly in the water world. So thank you. And Ken, did you want to say something? Ken?
You're on mute.
Muted. You're muted, Ken.
Muted.
Because it's looking like a record meeting for you, I thought I'd go ahead and mess that up. I wanted to congratulate Mary Rogren. Great running of 2020, which has been an extremely challenging year. I wanted to congratulate James Durbin for working so diligently with her, Kathleen Brennan for keeping things on track, and Denise Ford welcoming you into your job as trying to herd a bunch of cats into these meetings. I want to congratulate Chris Michelson on a great year as president of the CCWD. I wanted to welcome John Muller and congratulate him and Glenn Reynolds on being appointed to represent us at the Coastside County Water District. I wanted to thank Bob Feldman for his constant vigilance. I remember when he told me he was done because he had grandchildren, and here he is, taking care of us. It's great. And I also want to congratulate Patrick Miyake for putting the wetsuit back on and jumping back. So, thank you very much. It's an honor to work with all of you. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. And it's just.
And I will miss being called Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was music to my ears. It's going to be hard going back to mere director, but it has been, of all the presidencies, all the times I've held the president seat, this has definitely been a challenging one. And I remember my first meeting with Mary, when we figured out COVID really was going to be serious. There was, a couple months of denial, is this going to pass? And all of a sudden it's not going away. And we provide a vital service here. And we, so far, knock on wood, have continued through deliver water in abundant quantities, on time, unlimited, to our customers in unprecedented times. Absolutely unprecedented. I don't think this district will ever be I hope it is never so challenged again. And really thanks to our operators who are, confined to, relatively small rooms. I mean, that's the control rooms. It's not like they're operating these water treatment plants outdoors. And they have done a really good job of keeping the water flowing, with the backing of staff. Really hats off to each and every employee who has remained safe and continued to do the good work of CCWD. This is my takeaway from 2020. And, vaccines out there, it's just a matter of, when we get that jab in the arm, and we can look forward to a much better 2021. So thank you all.
Thank you.
With that, I bid you all good night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Stay
you
All
very
safe.
much.
Good night, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.